30 seconds.
This is, wow, this is a Manmeet Madness bracket. This is from Sean Stiffy. So Sean
15.
Stiffy sends me a Manmeet bracket.
I gotta get on this. I have like a cue in my ear right
So
here.
it's Sean Stiffy for a Manmeet bracket.
He should be the commissioner.
I don't know what the logo would be.
Oh, man.
Ryan Reynolds,
We're back.
the winner of the
Sean Stiffy.
first annual Stiffy Award.
I jumped out of
Crazy idea about the Miami Dolphins. You got the 5th pick overall. Remember, all last year, you're tanking for Tua. You know, you traded away Minkah Fitzpatrick. Laramie Tunsil, trade him away, you got all these draft picks. So you got 3 first-round draft picks here. I know this sounds crazy, and I preface it by saying it's crazy. If I'm the Miami Dolphins, I don't do anything crazy here. I wouldn't take a quarterback this year. How about I trade down from that 5th pick? Now I get another first-round pick. Maybe I get another first-round pick the following year. Maybe I'm now in the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. And I've got draft picks, and I still have a decent infrastructure there. From what they did last year, they played hard. They beat the Patriots in New England, final regular season game. Brian Flores, by all accounts, appears to be a, emerging coach. Maybe a star coach. But I'm not sure about Tua. That's it. I'm not sure. Now, 5 years from now, you may say, "Oh, God, you guys passed on Tua." Okay, but you're not. If you're not sure about Tua, then don't take Tua, or don't take Justin Herbert because you're not sure about Tua. Use your draft picks and build. Imagine if you got, let's say you wanted CeeDee Lamb and Henry Ruggs and a lineman, or one of the good cornerbacks there. The impact they're going to have is probably going to be profound. And then they're on rookie deals. Then I get my quarterback to come in. Now I got a chance to do something really special. And the Patriots, not in a free fall, but in a little bit of a reload, maybe not rebuild. Buffalo's still good. The Jets are still the Jets. But if you're not sold on Tua, then don't take a quarterback. And maybe somebody wants to go up and get that quarterback. Yes, McLovin.
I love everything you're saying.
Oh, you do?
I'm so on board.
Oh.
Oh my God.
Oh, okay.
You convinced me. I would have never thought that until now. But you're not really saying tanking for Trevor necessarily. Because they could be pretty good the way you described.
Yeah, they could be. But if I'm not sure on Tua, then I don't want to get involved in this. Well, we got to take a quarterback. I would stay with Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I would ride that out. It's like if you said to the Bengals, "Hey, you can get 4 first-round picks for Joe Burrow," and I'm not sold on Tua or Justin Herbert, I go, "All right, here's your 4 picks. I'll take Andy Dalton, who's still under contract for another year." But I have to have confidence in the people doing the drafting. That's it. And if I have confidence in that, then I'm okay with this. But if you're sold on Joe Burrow, then take Joe Burrow. If you're sold on Tua, take Tua. But as Chris Fowler said, and he watched these games, he was calling these games, and I said, if Tua's healthy, and he goes, "Yeah, that's tough. That's really a tough decision." So it's that close, but I'm not sure about Tua. And therefore, I would not take Tua because I'm just not sure. And I haven't seen the medicals. All I can go by is a source saying, I want to see what he does on a big board there, diagramming plays. How is he in the interview process? And I must see the medicals. Well, if I can't have him in person, it's a big risk to do that. Whereas I think that I could build my team in a better way. And that's just me taking a wild stab at what, the scenarios could be. All right, so we made a big decision. We're going all in on Creamsicle. This is the great street artist, R.C., who did all of this beautiful work in here. So I call him up and I say, "What do you think of Creamsicle?" And he goes, "Creamsicle is not a color. I don't call it creamsicle. What color is creamsicle in your world?
So it's technically cream orange.
Cream
so
orange.
It's just a really pastel orange.
Have you used creamsicle before?
I use a lot of it on the trophy wall here. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, and it's like the brightest tone that you'll base up to.
Oh, okay. So when you
working.
had all the champions over there, Gretzky, Brady, Jeter, and Russell, so you used a little bit of the creamsicle.
Cream orange.
Cream orange.
There.
Cream orange. What is the biggest challenge going to be with
I'm
this?
pretty much working backwards. So that's going to be tricky because I've already got all the splatter on top. So usually I work from.
This is the splatter.
Exactly. So I mean, I'm pretty much going backwards. So it's just it's going to be a little bit different here, but we'll get it.
Do you have to paint around the splatter?
I've got to paint all around it, and then and do all the fades and get all the and then come back and clean cut everything.
But then you just added this.
Yeah, so that's like the base, like that's one of like the base coats of the darker orange. So that's like more of the shadow on Dan.
Oh,
See
okay.
that?
Okay. And then, so this is going to be
So
all the way through this.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you got this.
So Tom's got all the shadow and everything, and then basically I'll come into the lighter tones over here. So you'll see it. So you'll have all the shadow work and everything in there. Yeah. It's all artist talk. But,
No, I get it. I get it. Do you need any help?
No, well, if you want to help me, I wouldn't want to get.
Let me see.
No, yeah.
So when this is done, I can say that I helped RC do this.
There you go.
See how we do that? And I like that you wore a flannel that's got.
It works. It works, right?
Just in case you spill paint on it.
You know,
Today and tomorrow?
today and tomorrow.
Okay, awesome. We'll be checking on you. He's the voice of college football for ESPN, ABC, and also tennis host for the mothership as well. Chris Fowler on the program. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Hi, Dan. I'm well. I'm very, very blissful, very relaxed this morning. So I've done my breathing exercises, which is a daily ritual in quarantine. So I'm relaxed. Don't talk too loudly or too quickly, and don't be angry or controversial, and we'll do just fine this morning.
Okay. All
But
right.
it's a natural. I assure you, it's a natural high.
Do you watch any college football replays or anything?
Is it doing it for you? I mean,
No.
I watched the Texas USC game, the Rose Bowl Classic game, which I stood on the sidelines and watched Vince Young run to the pylon, and was the greatest game I've ever seen. So when ESPN ran that the other week, I did watch it. I have not been dialed into the classic games. I know people are starving for it, and that's able to fill the void for them. It's not doing it for me. I am missing live sports, maybe not as much as some people or as much as I thought I was, but I am not glued to YouTube or ESPN Classic locked in. I probably shouldn't say that, but I don't know. I probably will watch some vintage Wimbledon when it gets around time to Wimbledon. I'll be missing that, and obviously, if we don't start football on time, I'll be starting for it. I'll probably watch LSU Clemson 10 times, but I haven't done a lot of that yet.
All right, let's jump into it then. You mentioned that we're 20 Saturdays away from the scheduled start of college football, and you threw out some questions there. You also said informed speculation here. So where do you want to start with the college football season?
Well, people are all over the place. There's no consensus. Just like when you hear the experts differ on how to deal with this virus going forward, there's no two people on the same page in college football. The commissioners are having these regular conversations. The coaches are doing their thing. Each athletic director has its own take depending on where they are in the country. So we're not going to know a lot for a while. I think the clarity will begin to happen during May, but I just don't get the sense that the country is going to be in the same place, and these programs and these conferences are going to be at the same place in late July, August, when you absolutely have to get players back on campus if you're going to play. And it's not what people want to hear, but I think there's severe challenges trying to start a season on time. And if you don't do that, and everybody wants, that's what you hope for. God, we hope for things. But if hope isn't a strategy unless you got truth and facts, right? We've already seen that. So what's realistic? And I don't know if it's really realistic to gather in 20 Saturdays and have a national season. I mean, you're going to have a lot of colleges online exclusively this summer. The campuses won't even be open. So how can you bring this unpaid workforce back in there and say, hey, we're playing games, without a bunch of people going, wait, why are we playing? What do we do? Is this – there's a lot of questions and not very many answers, right? The idea of a delayed season, even a season early in 21 in the spring, which seems radical to people. To others find it just undoable. But it might be a way to salvage football in the calendar, or the school year, I should say, if it can't be salvaged in the fall.
Informed speculation. Informed speculation on what in particular you were talking about?
Well, what's likely going to happen? I mean, what are the challenges to getting things up and running on time? There are a lot of them. I mean, do you think this is in the same place in New York and California and Louisiana and Texas and Ohio and Pennsylvania and Florida and Utah? I mean, we're all over the place.
Yeah.
This virus is cresting in different places in the cycle. I mean, you know, the South really hasn't been hit yet, but do you think there's going to be states that are spared? People are viewing this in the lens of where they are and not realizing, look, 50 governors don't have to sign off for football to come back. I mean, I've been told that. Not every single athletic director and commissioner has to be exactly on the same page. But what if one area of the country is totally different from another? What if the West is ready to open up quicker, but the Northeast of the Big Ten isn't? I mean, what are you going to do? You can have a partial season? It doesn't make any sense to me. So, I mean, I know that there's going to be no perfect solution, Dan. And I know that people go crazy when they think that we can't wait until February or March. But if you need the revenue, if you operate under the assumption that these conferences have got to get on the field at some point, or the revenue loss is going to be catastrophic to the whole athletic department, not just football, then you're not dealing with ideal scenarios. You're dealing with desperation and trying to make it work. That's why.
He's Chris Fowler, the voice of college football for ESPN and ABC. I'm also wondering, though, Chris, do we minimize the regular season and maybe try to maximize postseason, and that we do make that leap from Final Four to 8 or 16?
Everything's on the table. Everything's on the table because these are such uncharted times and nobody knows what's the best thing to do. If you start the season late, let's say you're not going to be ready August, you start the season in October, November, you cut some games, you alter the postseason. I don't think there's going to be 30 bowl games played under a lot of these scenarios, but the playoffs, what's important, that's where the dollars are in the big bowls. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you could shorten the season. You could do away with the non-conference. That's been talked about, too. Everything's been talked about. All this is on the table. But I don't know. I mean, you know, the conversations that are going on in other sports are even more radical than what's going on in college football. Just in the desperation to have a baseball season, what they're talking about, what the NHL is contemplating. The NFL is going to get heavy political pressure to start on time and operate normally. And you know, a lot of these owners will feel the financial pinch, believe it or not. I mean, they're all super wealthy, but you take away that revenue, they're going to feel the pinch if they don't have a season on time. The networks will apply their pressure. The NFL is far less complicated than college football, though. Nothing is as complicated in getting everybody together and up and running as college football. I mean, there's no central control.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem in a lot of cases.
Yeah, that's my big concern here is you don't have that one voice. You know, Adam Silver with the NBA, Rob Manfred with baseball, Roger Goodell with the NFL, and then you get to college football and you go,
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what's going on. You're having the Power 5 commissioners who are not the deciders, but they're the ones that have to get together and run the scenarios and be ready for whatever is decided. But you know, they tell me, you know, the municipalities, the states, they're the ones who shut things down, and they're the ones that are going to be turning things back on. And so you got to listen to, you know, the governors and the mayors of cities like San Francisco and New York and Chicago and Dallas, and those are the ones that are going to decide. You know, the states, you know, this battle back and forth we've seen play out at these briefings the last couple of days. I mean, the states are saying, wait a minute, we decided what's right for us, and the cities, in fact, specifically, we're going to decide what's right for us going forward. And that's the way it's going to be. So that's why I started with. How are you going to be on the same page? Who knows what it's going to be like when the state's not yet affected, really begin to build in these numbers.
Well, then you have
that's why I
Dabo.
think it's a rush to get back on the field. I mean, a lot of coaches are saying stuff that are tone deaf. So
Wait, you're the one that has to breathe. You're the one that was in a Zen-like mood. Now you're getting a little riled up here.
I am.
Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath here. Well, then you have, Mike Gundy, and then you have Dabo Sweeney, who are, they throw this out. We're coming back, and like somehow we can. The coronavirus doesn't affect us, or we're coming back May 1st. And I went, we can't have these proclamations here. We can't go rogue.
Well, no, you can't. And I think that's the thing, though, that the coaches are paid to be ready for any scenario, and they have to plan and get ready for an on-time season, because that's the first scenario that's on the table. As unlikely to some people as that seems, that's what you have to plan for. I talked to a bunch of coaches. I'm going to do another video on what kinds of programs are going to be able to come through this and thrive, and what programs are really going to struggle. What does it take within the program to weather this? And so in trying to get their opinions, it's obvious that they are preparing for an on-time season like you have to. And you have to be hopeful and optimistic. That's what coaches are. But you also have to have perspective and a sense of priorities. And these are not pro athletes, man. If your campus is closed, if your campus has said it's not ready, we're not ready for students to come back. But football players, get your butts back in here, put you in quarantine. We'll take your temperature every day. You're going to prepare to go out and perform so we can get this cash cow flowing again. Wait a minute. I mean, don't you think a lot of players are going to say, wait a minute, we won't do that. You're deciding for us a public health issue when the rest of everybody else is operating on different rules. And I know they want to play. I get it. And they feel invulnerable, Dan. You know that there's no segment of society that feels more bulletproof, more able to withstand something than males aged 18 to 22, right? I mean, that's the age group that's going to feel like we're not high risk. We're not going to get sick. If we get symptoms, we're going to kick its ass. Okay, I understand. That's your mindset. But this is so new and unique and unknowable that you just got to err on the side of caution and safety. It's an unpaid workforce. For once, let's not take them for granted and let's consider their needs. Does that just make sense?
Yeah, I get it. And you're right. 18 through 22, you're like, hey, I'm going to live forever. But, there's
a reason why in history those are the people that you put out to fight your wars, because they're the ones that'll jump into the fray and be fearless and feel like it's not going to happen to them.
Hey, I wanted to ask you this before I let you go. You hand out the Heisman every year, and Joe Burrow won it, obviously. But what strikes you about his personality?
Extreme confidence. I have never run into anybody. He's cocky. Let's just say it. And it's okay because he went and backed it up. Yeah. We had the meetings before the championship game. Kirk and I both came out of it going, I have never seen a guy or a team with more supreme belief they're going to kick the ass of a really good team, the defending champs who won 20-some in a row, whose defense and defense coordinator have these proven credentials. Joe Burrow had absolutely zero doubt that game was going to unfold exactly as it did. And I thought, wow, man, and that's a leader. I know that he's not that way when you walk around him in everyday life, but you put him in game mode, and he was very much in game mode in this meeting. And he walks on the field with supreme belief. So I know what people think. He's overrated, not worthy of a top pick, got his limitations, Tua is better. I promise you, in his head and his heart, he believes there's nobody better than him. And he'll believe that he's ready from day one. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that at that position. That's what strikes me about him. He is, also he's like a 40-year-old soul in a much younger body, super, super mature, very bright. I mean, so all those things that are going to wow the teams are there.
If Tua was healthy, and you saw them both, you're the Bengals, who would you take?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I'm not in that position. Teams have flunked those questions for years. I mean, Tua throws a prettier ball. I mean, Tua it's watching him throw the ball in person for the first time is one of those wow moments. Like, I've never seen the ball come out of a guy's hand. It's beautiful. Joe doesn't throw like that. He just doesn't. He throws great ball. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, a lot of his spirals are not tight. They're not spun. They get there. He's an incredibly instinctive and incredibly accurate thrower. But you know what struck me when I watched him in person was he's not as pretty of a thrower with football as I thought, but he's way more athletic. Burrow is quick. He's faster than you think. He's elusive. He's instinctive. All those things are hard to quantify in a workout. But Tua throwing the ball in a workout, and you know, I know that hip thing is something I'd be a little bit concerned about. I mean, you say 100%, but can you be sure? No. You know, most guys who have that surgery end up having hip replacement. Those are normal people, much less NFL athletes. So somewhere in his future, he's probably going to have an operation. Now, hopefully, it's after a long career. But man, I hope he's not hampered at all by that, because I just want to see him on Sundays throwing the ball the way he throws it.
Do you know that I have Carson Palmer's Heisman in my man cave?
You do?
Yeah. I asked.
But you bought it at auction?
No. He had it in his garage, and I said, well, if you're not using it, send it to me. He packed it up and sent it. So I have it in the man cave.
Like a loan, right? Like it wasn't a permanent gift. It's a loan.
He might have to come and get it.
Man.
He might have to come and get it, but he sent it.
I'm walking around. I have some like Heisman winners only swag that I wear. I thought that was cool. I don't have a trophy. Man. I bow down to your man cave. That's amazing.
Yeah, I know. Hey, great to talk to you. I hope the family is good. My best to Jen, and I'll be following you on Twitter. Thank you, bud.
Well, Instagram. Who cares about Twitter?
Oh, Instagram. My bad. Instagram.
Yeah. Send people to Instagram. It's much more. It's much better for quarantine. You can expand on things. So just. I'm off Twitter. I'm on the Instagram. Instagram. We'll do this again. I enjoyed it. Be well. Be safe.
All right. Thank you. That's Chris Fowler. I was opening up some mail. I get a lot of patches here that from. I got one from the FBI, and I got so many from around the country. And feel free if you have patches from fire departments or EMS, or I'd love to be able to fly your colors here. I also got an envelope from a guy named Sean Stiffy. And Sean Stiffy sent me in the Manmeet brackets for 2020. So it's basically all of the good-looking guys in Hollywood, and he had a bracket breakdown. And so Sean Stiffy sent that in, and the first annual Stiffy Awards, Ryan Reynolds was your winner in 2020.
I don't know where Sean went to college, but Stiffy.
Hey, Stiffmeister, Stiffinator.
What are you walking in with?
Hey, are you walking in with Stiffy?
Oh, dear. It's too easy. It's like T-ball.
So happy to see everybody.
Yes. Are we having Sean Stiffy on?
I think he's on the line.
Hey, Sean?
Yes, Sean Stiffy here. How you doing?
Hi, Sean. Sean's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I believe, and he just sent me his Manmeet bracket challenge for 2020. Yes, Paul?
Yeah, he's from a long line of Stiffies in that area.
So Sean Stiffy is, I guess, the commissioner of the Manmeet bracket challenge, and you want to tell us how you came up with this and who is the Manmeet bracket challenge winner for 2020?
Yeah, so it was partially inspired by you guys in the Great Hot Guy draft, and then I think it was the Golden Globes me and my wife were watching, and Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio came up on stage. We got an argument on who's the better-looking guy. So from there, I took that simple question onto Instagram and put out a poll question, and Leo won, and I was completely shocked. So I was like, you know what? I need to do 64 guys, a full tournament, and let's see who wins this. So I started in February doing one matchup per day, and it went all the way until the beginning of April. And Ryan Reynolds came out as your champ, but there are some big surprises along the way. Bradley Cooper knocked out Zac Efron in the first round, which was amazing to me.
Well, that's a tough matchup there in the first round, but
yeah, the committee was doing Zac Efron. No favors on that one.
You got a lot of free time there, Sean Stiffy.
I guess I do.
Well, thank you for sharing that. The Manmeet Bracket Challenge of 2020. And Ryan Reynolds is what's the stiffy look like? Like, do you give out is there an award for Sean Stiffy?
That's what I was thinking. I might have to get in touch with Ryan Reynolds' people and send him maybe a T-shirt or a trophy. I'll figure out something.
Yes, he is the inaugural winner of the Stiffy. Thank you, Sean.
I got like 100 jokes.
Ross Tucker joining us on the program. Ross Tucker podcast. And let me see. What else do you have here? Countdown to the draft. That's You Better, You Bets. Countdown to the draft available on radio.com app. And Ross joins us on the program. Hopefully I got that introduction correct. But you like this McCaffrey deal?
So the introduction was great, Dan. Thank you. Great to talk with you. I like it for Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
As for the Panthers, listen, Dan, he had unbelievable leverage here. I mean, unbelievable leverage. First of all, okay, they just lost Luke Kuechly to retirement. They cut Cam Newton, and they moved on from Greg Olsen. He's not just the face of the franchise, Dan. He's the only face on the team that the fans even recognize right now. So you've got your best player, and he is absolutely that, the face of the franchise with a new head coach. And the number one thing that Matt Rule does not want in August, when hopefully we have training camps and he's in front of his football team for the first time, the last thing he wants is for his best player and face the franchise to not be sitting in that room. And every day he's being asked by the media about the Christian McCaffrey holdout. And here's the thing. He was going to hold out, Dan. I mean, look, this is the first kid that ever skipped a bowl game, the Sun Bowl, 3 years ago. His dad played in the NFL. They know what the deal is. They know he's eligible for a contract now, and they know his unprecedented usage the last 2 years. He wasn't playing until he got this, and the Panthers knew it.
Yeah, but why don't I wait for one more year? Because I don't have to give it to him now. It's a 4-year and then that 5th year option, right?
Yeah, well, by that argument, if you're talking straight business of football, right, you could argue have him play this year out, then have him on the 5th-year option in 2021, then franchise him in 2022. And if we're just talking about maximizing the business from the salary cap portion of it, then I get that. But the reality is he wasn't going to show up, Dan. And they know that. And they know that he knows the business. And they got the coronavirus going on. They're trying to have people renew their season tickets for a lot of different reasons. He sells over half the jerseys down there. They just decided, and by the way, we don't know what the structure of it is. It's 4 more years at the end of this deal, by the way. They didn't rip up his final 2 years. It goes through 2025. So they still have him for the next 2 years on that other deal. They just gave him some bonus money now, and let's see what the structure is. But they know that he wasn't going to show up, and neither the owner nor the head coach wanted to deal with that.
So, this is how it's going to look. So, basically, just take out the glue, do another clean cut, red strap around it,
Is that the same red?
Yeah.
It's in the ballpark.
Yeah. I mean, it might be a little bit darker down here because it's just there's more shadow under the jerseys. Would be lighter up on the helmet, so it'd be more light hitting it.
And then you're going to have to paint around the splotches?
Yeah. Yeah. That's like up in here, basically.
How hard is that to do?
Just kind of cut around them and just do the fades and stuff, and then you lose it a little bit, then I'll just come back and it's a nice clean cut.
Oh, okay.
You won't even notice the difference after the fact.
Jon Hamm, of course, gave us Mad Men. All right, you might get mad at me, but full disclosure here. I got all of the DVDs for Mad Men. Somebody sent it in, and the reason why she sent it in is because I've never watched an episode of Mad Men. Are you mad?
You, sir, have some homework to do.
Are you a mad man at me not watching Mad Men?
I think that you're a busy guy. I don't see why why would I be mad at that? You've got stuff to do. I'll be honest with you. I only watched about 70% of the stuff with you and Keith Olbermann. So
okay, that's fair. And that's fair. Give me the episode of Mad Men that you say, if you're only going to watch one, for God's sakes, watch this episode.
Well, it's hard because, the show is so established on character building, and you have to know the characters. And so some of the later episodes that are really dependent on that are that's the bigger thing, is that if you've sat with these guys for a while, these things have a little more resonance. But if I were to say one episode of the show, there's an episode in season 4. Actually, the whole season 4 is pretty great. But season 4 called The Suitcase, which is kind of a little bottle episode with Don and Peggy, where they get locked in trying to figure out an ad campaign for Samsonite, of all things, which just reminds me of Dumb and Dumber every time I say it. But it's a really good episode, and a lot of things happen with those, especially those two characters. And it's for my money, that's my favorite episode of the show.
Now, my guy said there's a lot of drinking in that episode. What is the actual beverage that they give you to drink?
Weirdly enough, it's weak, sort of diluted tea, because that looks the most like whiskey.
Yeah.
They make iced tea and then they just pour it into your glass, and so you're just caffeinated the whole day.
How difficult is it to act drunk?
Way easier than actually being drunk. Because there's no residual after effect.
Yeah. Fritzy, what did you learn on today's program?
Chris Fallow says there's no consensus around college football on how to deal with how the coronavirus will affect the upcoming season. Sounds kind of chaotic the next few months.
Chaotic. McClevin.
Russ is open to Russell Wilson Jr. the 4th.
Seton O'Connor Jr. the 3rd.
Jon Hamm only watched 70% of your work with Keith Olbermann. So take that.
Hey, message sent loud and clear. Paulie?
Your last name's Stiffy. You better have a good sense of humor.
Fritzy, what did I learn?
Chris Fallow says Joe Burrow has extreme confidence. Let's go ahead and call it cocky.